you see some huge projects here in Denmark, I don't know why they haven't learned it yet, but they all crash in the end, because they've been working years in and years out, in the end it doesn't work.
Oh, welcome back, Klaus.
Hi there.
I have a question for you today.
Oh, fire away.
We have clients of different caliber, so to speak, and some of them make really elaborate Excel sheets with a lot of information on what the system we are supposed to build to them should do, and other come with some vague comments on what they want the system to achieve. And then we have to figure out most of the things ourselves, or kind of build a base template and then send it back to the customer so they can come with some additional feedback, and then we can update and send back again for additional feedback. So my question is, can we educate our customers in a smart way to make better specifications? Could we send some manual on how to specify a system, or have a standard set of questions that could allow the customers to more easily create a documentation for us that will make the development process a lot faster and smoother?
Oh, that was a bit of a question, but I'll just take it. I'll take it further than that.
Okay.
I would ask the question: do we want specification at all when it comes to the point?
How else would you know what to do?
You might think this is a bit extreme to ask questions like that, but I remember a programming or a software project approach which was called extreme programming.
Yeah.
And one of the things they said, that since you're never going to have a perfect or elaborate specification from the customer anyway, the best thing to do is just not to get one, and make it up as you go. But the point is, somehow, how are you actually working with the customer? And I think that when you are using some kind of agile approach, and you got extreme programming, and you got whether there's some other approaches, I can't remember the name of them all, but basically it's the same shit in my eyes anyway. You have very short cycles of programming, and you do as little as possible every time, and this is an old discussion, because does the customer actually know what they want? And probably not, actually. They know on a very high meta level what the program should do, but it's very difficult to make a detailed specification if you don't know anything about IT, about programming and stuff like that. So often what happens is that you start programming, and then the customer sees the possibilities that there are in this project here, and then they begin to ask for some specific things. Would we then do this or that?
Yeah.
And so on. Yeah. And if the customer accepts that, how can I say, that you cannot give a specific offer when you don't have a specific specification. And so you can't give a price, but maybe you could give an estimate or something like that. But you can't give a price that you can guarantee, because you don't know in the end what you're actually going to program. So if the customer accepts that, and they often do, I think, then you can make something very, very nice that the customer is very happy with afterwards.
Yeah.
And it minimizes also the risk of you see some huge projects here in Denmark, I don't know why they haven't learned it yet, but they all crash in the end, because they've been working years in and years out, in the end it doesn't work. And the government have paid billions of kroner for it, and for some reason they haven't learned yet that that's not the approach. So I would say we should perhaps be better to ask the necessary questions about the project so that we can get along.
Yeah.
That might be.
Okay. I do buy your reply in the sense that when the customer sees the first version of the system, they will get the light bulb will go off, and they will figure out that, okay, this is what we can do, and now we can could we add some other features or extract the data in other ways and show this or do this. That's something I experience all the time when new users get new applications. But the first step, the initial step from not having a system to kind of figure out that it might actually be a good idea to build a system, and what feature of the business should we start with, kind of that initial process. But that's more like figuring out the need of the customer, and in that case you probably have to talk to the customer to figure out where is the most bang for the buck in order to start building an IT system. And I think based on that, the question is not for a customer, do you have a need for a solution, but do you have the will to start using IT more in your business? And that will be the first step to then figure out where could IT benefit the most in the organization.
Johan, I know you had one customer some years ago that went from the book that they were writing down their orders to an IT system. But I think most of the people we work with now, they are on the, second, third, fourth generation IT system. Everybody knows about that. So that's not the problem anymore, is it?
No, there might be some organizations, but yeah, you're probably right. But I think that's still a huge amount of businesses still rely heavily on Excel for most of their data processing.
Well, that might be okay, actually.
Yeah. And that is also a good specification if they want to migrate to a more advanced IT system.
But that's one another way that we've been still working, is like send the Excel sheet or send a database if you already have one.
Yeah.
When you look at the data, you usually know what it's all about.
Yeah.
And there's also another thing that I have experienced several times. Some good deal of years ago, 20, really many years ago, the companies were used to paying a huge amount of money for something that often essentially they didn't need. But what I've seen many times is that they actually make a business case before they buy. So they go in and say, okay, we'd like to have this IT system here. And if we get the system here, maybe we could save some money in reduced number of employees, or maybe we could make more money because we do more, or whatever. And at the same time, to find out how much money could we save here, or how much more money do we expect to earn. So when you come with a price, they can find out whether it's worth it or not.
Yeah.
And if you are at that level, you're already pretty advanced, I would say.
Yeah.
And you don't have to explain them what they can get out of IT because they already know.
Yeah, in that sense, yes. you also have another breed of businesses that is growing rapidly right now. And that's the kind of businesses that use online tools like Asana, Slack, Google Docs, Trello, and stuff like that. And the issue they have is that they really benefit from using this platform and communicate digitally with each other. And there are also a lot of integrations between these platforms. But when you start to get too many platforms, it starts to become a technical hassle to kind of make sure that everything is working and is integrated properly. And perhaps you cannot get the analytics out of that kind of system that you might want to in other cases, because the integrations might not contain all the data that you want in the end.
Yeah, but still, if you're a small company, for instance, and you want a website, then probably the smartest thing you can do is actually to make an account on Facebook, something like that, and then do any of that's for free. I mean, and all the various tools you can hire for little money, like Google Docs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When you are at a level where you're actually going to pay someone like us to make some specific software, bespoke software, something you can pull down off the shelf. First of all, you're already not so small a company, because I mean, it's not the cheapest thing.
No,
you can go and buy, and
that's true.
If you're a manager of a small company and you have this choice, either you can buy a new Tesla or you can buy some new software, and you sit there, Tesla software, Tesla. I think Tesla wins. So the situation is that we are working, and if you look at our customer portfolio, you would agree, I think, that we are working with larger companies.
Yeah,
that has
that's
other
true.
problems or challenges than small, and they are often, I mean, 2021, they are much more professional.
They know exactly what they need.
Yeah. But it weren't always like that.
No,
that's true. But then again, hopefully we also have become better.
Hopefully,
I mean, as
yes.
individuals, and the IT business as such has hopefully also become better in understanding the needs of the customer.
And I guess you're right. The larger corporations, they usually have like a process that they have been trying to work with by using Excel or something similar. And then they grow out of the Excel sheet and realize that they need some additional features. So perhaps they try to make an Access database or something, or they contact a developer like us to build a web-based system where the customer can log in and edit the data, as well as the employees of the business at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Not so long ago, one of your customers, actually, one of the customers that you work with, came out with a very positive statement about the way we work.
Mm-hmm.
And what they were saying was that they were happy that we were very conscious is in working with what he called minimum viable solutions.
Yeah.
And that is de facto what the way we are working and always has been. But it's nice to hear that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That it works.
That the customer appreciates that way of working.
Yes. Yes, precisely. And well, they came with a specification. Actually, it was a little better than it usually was. It usually is on what their needs were. But I've been following you at the project since the start, and there are a lot of things that happened since we began.
And usually there are minor updates all over the system, and those minor updates are very clear and specific on what to do. So in that case, the specifications have been a lot better. In the beginning, it could be a little bit unclear, like I want a button on this page. Yeah, okay, what should that button do?
Yes, but still, you have a very relevant point here. Is that the smaller the task you have is, the more precise you can tell what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you took the old-fashioned specification,
yeah,
of the IT system that were designed to do everything,
mm-hmm.
and you ask the customer, okay, so what's going to do? What is it going to do? The system, and they answer basically say everything. Okay, can you write a specification for that?
Yeah.
And so they write a specification, and you start coding. When you're finished, you make something that probably solves anything else. That's the real problem.
Yeah, and that kind of happens as well. Sometimes I get specifications for larger pieces of updates. And if the documentation is large, then it's hard to kind of get a good overview. And then it's often that you perhaps miss some details because you don't think about all the details all the way. Because that's such a wide update that you're working with.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. And okay, then the trick is to break it down to details.
Yeah.
You know, if it's at all possible. But we think that our mind is so evolved that we can do everything. The problem is we can't, and
no,
it's only room for so much inside.
Yeah,
the skull. So.
One of the most important things that you learn with experience is that your mind is limited, and you need to structure the projects to fit your mind, not try to make your mind to fit the project, or not expect your mind.
Yeah, that's the way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Well, anyway, I think that more often than not, you know, you don't work with their specification at all. You have this discussion with the customer,
yeah,
and then you make a suggestion, and that is also a suggestion, a mock-up you do. It's also kind of specification, but a very concrete one. I mean, okay, this you could see, and then the customer can say, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
Yeah.
But then you're getting somewhere. Also in terms of specification, it's just another way of understanding the term specification.
Yeah. So in the end, we might not need to educate our customers that much. We need to be better to ask the right questions ourselves instead.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, sounds like a really good conclusions to this video.
All right, well then, let's call it a video.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.